Feeling the need for change is at the heart of your ability to make it happen. I'm Vivian Carrasco, and I'd like to welcome you to Turning Inward. I am your creative midwife, your teacher, and host of this podcast. Together, we're going to navigate the interior life by unearthing your personal truth, insight, and your inner knowing. In 2 words, this is your inner work. Thanks for being here. Thanks for welcoming me back into your ear and trusting me enough to let me help you touch your own heart. Today's episode is on doubt, and I think that I have a different way of talking about doubt than a lot of people. The first thing that I want to say before we get into the goods is there's risk and reward with everything. So the risk that I'm taking right now is recording outside because it might be tough to edit the outside sounds. But the reward is that I'm literally one with nature. So it's a nice little breeze. This is actually being published on January 1st of 2017. So Happy New Year to you. But in real time, it's not quite the new year. But here in Texas, it's been about 78 degrees. So we're not quite into the season of winter, even though the grass isn't green anymore and the leaves have really dropped from the leaves. The leaves have dropped from the trees. So doubt. I think that doubt steals your joy. And the way that I want to chat with you about today is in relation to your experiences. I'm going to bring you back to my time on the beach. This is December, so this was, I think, in November or October. Rick Hansen, one of my favorite neuropsychologists, calls these million-dollar moments. We don't have very many million-dollar moments, so we want to make the most out of the meaningful moments that we have. But here's the trick. Doubt can steal your joy right out of your hands. And here I'll share with you my experience with this. So I was on a retreat and had just been in a full day of, the day before had been in a full day of horse pen work where we were learning the subtleties of energy and the different kinds of energy. And this is all a very, very, very new experience for me. So I was fascinated by it. And anytime I learn something new, I want to get my hands right into it and play with it. And so I had the opportunity to do that. I had made a ritual or a habit of coming out in the mornings really early and just meditating on the beach. There's this rock that literally looked like a little throne, and I would sit there. And on this particular day, one of my retreat peers was sort of waving and like trying to get my attention. And I thought she was saying hi. I was like, hi. Then she sort of runs towards me and says, it's the dolphins. The dolphins are over there. And I hadn't even noticed them. And I said, how interesting. And this is my memory of this experience, so it's not going to be 1,000% on point. Just the disclaimer there. And she said, there they go. And I said, well, let's practice what we learned yesterday. Let's invite them back. And so we just re-experienced what we had just learned. And then we called them back, said, come back and play. And then we had a different kind of exchange and then walked back because it was almost time to head back to the ranch for the next day of the retreat. I grabbed my breakfast and I'm sitting looking at the beach and the ocean, and the dolphin are back. They're right in front of me. And I think this was the second or third day that this had happened. And I was just joyful about it. I was excited. It was very, very fun and playful to be in front of the dolphins. And then a person was passing by and said, oh, they come out every day around this time. And all of a sudden, the level of awe and wonder and happiness around that experience dropped. And I thought, this happens all the time. It's not meaningful. It's not special. Nothing, in fact, had changed about the reality or the facts about that experience. But that seed of doubt, kind of like an elevator, all the way to the basement floor. And I thought that happens all the time. It's not so special. We didn't really do anything. So fast forward to the end of everything and heading to the airport. I called the Uber driver, and I've forgotten the Uber driver's name. I could look because I journal. But I was chit-chatting with the Uber driver. I had mentioned that I had seen the dolphins while I was sitting at this specific hotel. And he said, really? He said, I actually worked at the hotel next door. I worked there for 7 years, and not once did I see dolphins. He said that was very, very special. And then all of a sudden this memory became $1 million moment again. Because the doubt that I had, that had been special, was wiped away. But it was a person, another person's experience that on both times, that both took it and gave it back. And I just thought that was fascinating. Don't let doubt steal your joy, whether it's your own or someone else's. I have the distinct pleasure of being friends with a lot of very, 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 very wise women. And one of them, her name is Kelly Gandara. We've been friends since my youngest were just months old, and they're turning 21 this year. In regards to doubt, she said, the only obstacle to meeting the goals we set for ourselves is the doubt imagined by others. And then she adds a caveat, if we allow it to get in the way. Oftentimes, I think that doubt, that seed that's planted by others, is really, in a way, from their own perspective, to protect us so that we don't get hurt, so that we don't get disappointed. But it's still doubt. So this is why in the Vivian School, this is about learning something new. It's about unlearning what you already know. And here's the thing, we have what's called a confirmation bias. And that means that we interpret new information based on previous beliefs. So if you're ready to unlearn, if you're ready to examine and look and sift and sort through things, you have to be willing to unlearn in order to get something new. Now, change isn't easy for anyone. And if you admit it, it's not something you really want. We want to stay in our comfort zone. I, of all people, know that because I throw little toddler fits all the time about why I'm pushing. I'm not striving like in an achievement way, but just continuing to explore and unfold. And it's just my nature. So if you're willing to unlearn, you want to look at things with fresh eyes. You want to discover. Be open to a truth that's sitting right in front of you. Be ready to listen to your heart. And this takes a lot of faith. And faith not in terms of religion, but faith in terms of uncertainty instead of belief. Because beliefs are security. And our human nature takes us back to that security because it's where we feel the most comfort.
You're listening to Vivian Carrasco with Turning Inward. I'm a mindset mentor and creative midwife, and I'm here to help you wake up to a whole new way of being in the world.
So I'll share with you a way that I unlearned a lot of years ago. I take my men through all kinds of rituals and games and fun stuff that they are kind enough to move through with me. And at one point this year, I was feeling a lot of doubt, and I felt it creeping literally into my heart. And so we had these blank pieces of paper. Every beautiful game starts with a blank piece of paper, it seems like. And I wrote down for everyone, when I feel fear, when I feel doubt, or when I sense worry creeping into my heart, I will remember these words. And then what we did is I took this piece of paper and we sort of it traveled around the table for everyone. So both my sons and my husband had one and I had one. And I let it travel. And the reason that I did that is so that I could get evidence from the people that I love and adore most on this earth. Evidence from them on how I can combat my own doubt. And I won't read to you everything that they said, but I love how it shows their personalities. Just look. One says, close your eyes and breathe, says the other. And the third says, each one of them gave me a different set of instructions because those are their instructions to themselves. But it was nice to see and hear a different set of instructions for me to crawl out of my own doubt than what I tend to give myself. So if that exercise feels like fun for you, feel free to use that as a way for you to unlearn by finding fresh eyes. If your eyes aren't ready to open, look to someone you trust and love and ask them what they see, and it'll help you discover. Another quote is one of my favorite from Zig Ziglar, whose galactic headquarters happen to be right here in the Metroplex in Texas. You've got to be before you do and do before you have. So if you're at a crossroads right now, this is January 1st. Our society likes to set goals right around this time. Think about a decision instead. Set a decision. Make a commitment. And instead of just setting a goal, like drawing a line in the sand, commit your own resources to that action. And here I want to be really specific. In terms of resources, what I'm meaning is your own time and your own attention. Invest in building an awareness of yourself. Because honestly, money is just too easy to spend. Once you make that commitment, once you make that decision, then and only then is when it'll be followed by courage. In my notes, I have here where I want to tell you about my Texas Twostep again, because it's important. I noticed that I tend to do this now, and it's different than what I did before, and it's helpful, so maybe it'll help you. My Texas Twostep is when I feel fear, when I feel doubt, when I feel worry, is to take a step back and turn inward. And cool enough, that's the whole point of this podcast. Listen for the silent voice within you. First, step in, and then take 2 steps forward. And this is where my funnest play happens, and that's imagination. Because I believe that imagination is the workshop for your soul. So step back as your first step in your Texas Twostep. Turn inward. Listen for the silent voice, not the voice of your mother, your father, your sisters, your brothers, your best friends, the people who you think that you want to have admire you. But listen for the silent voice within you that's urging you to explore, to travel a new land, like your own nature, kind of like your inside landscape. And then imagine what's best for you. Imagine what's ideal for you. And I know that at first this can seem selfish, but it's not, because this is never an either or. It's not mine or yours. It's both. And when you've found the possibility that includes 2, then it's a win-win. And I really like win-wins. So my final note here is that awareness plus action equals change. And we are both controlled and set free in 3 ways: with our mindset, with our skills, and with our environment. So you are being controlled right now by one of those 3 things, or all 3. Your own thoughts, your own capacity, or your environment. And you can set yourself free in the exact same 3 ways. So look at your mindset. What are you thinking? What are you feeding yourself? And then your second response, what is your spoken word? What is the image that you see? This is your own response. You can't blame this on anyone else. Just notice it. Don't judge yourself for it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just invest a little bit of time and attention in noticing what you see and what you say. And in that order, then the next thing is your behavior. Thank you for joining me today for this episode on doubt. And in this episode, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your experiences and how doubt can steal joy right out of your heart, on a way for you to unlearn. Because in Vivian School, it's not about teaching new. It's about unlearning what doesn't serve you. And then finally, 3 ways that you both control and set you are controlled and you set yourself free. I hope you enjoy these few minutes, and I look forward to our next time together. Until then, thank you.
If something needs to change and you don't quite know what it is yet, tune in and turn inward. I host an online learning community where we can figure it out together. Feels like a little family, and it's a place where you can be supported and offer support, because togetherness sparks change. Visit my digital home at viviancarrasco.com to learn more.